Yo, what's good with y'all, man? Welcome to Ready Tape, and we got our guy Sanjit in the building. It's been a minute, and it's only right because we're about halfway through the season, man, and we got to get some information. We gotta pick this guy's brain, and we might have a little debate here and there, but at the same time, I think we're both pretty level-headed. And shout out to my guy. Thank you for pulling up, man. Appreciate you coming through, bro.
What's going on, man? What's going on? I'm glad to be here, man. We definitely haven't connected in a while, so definitely gotta get together more often.
Yeah, most definitely, because you're one of the more respected people in Raider Nation. I mean, you've been doing this, covering the Raiders for how many years now? Probably, how many years now has it been, dude? Probably like 6, 7 plus.
It's been at least 5 years. I don't know,
Okay.
man. I lose track of
Yeah.
time. It's been a
Yeah,
while for
bro,
sure.
I remember watching your first videos though. I ain't even gonna lie, man. And you had like the green screen background, like way back in the day. I'm talking like when you first started. I'm like, damn, this dude came a long way.
Yeah, man.
But shout out to you, man. Thanks for finding some time and being able to pull up.
Absolutely, man. Raiders, man. I'll always love talking Raiders football. Yesterday's game was freaking crazy. Honestly, it was a
Yeah.
crazy game yesterday.
Yeah, most definitely. And well, the craziest thing for me, honestly, was the fact that it's the first time the offense put up 30. And I know a lot of people are upset with me about, oh, it's an arbitrary number, or whatever the case may be. But this was my expectation of the offense, right? My expectation was that they would go out there and this is how they would look. As far as Josh Jacobs, I mean, he's balling out.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's be honest. The dude's balling out. He's the nucleus of the offense. But as far as putting up points, as far as being able to sustain drives, and the way they closed in the fourth, that was the main thing for me. The way they was actually able to score in the fourth quarter on those last couple of drives, I feel like was a huge difference in the
Yep.
rest of the games. Because if we score on the last drive in every on most of the games we play, we're winning it. You
Yep.
know, and we've seen catastrophes, guys running into each other, us fumbling the ball, a defensive touchdown with the game on the line. So, how do you feel about how the offense took that turn after a bye week coming out with guns blazing?
Yeah, man. I think I know there's been like all these stats on social media. People are kind of talking about how the offense is scoring points like in terms of the percentage of how many times you're scoring points is like one of the highest in the league. Uh, but there's a difference when you're kicking field goals versus scoring touchdowns. Completely different. It's the same thing in terms of these stats, right?
Mhm.
If you're 40 of 50 times you either kick a field goal or score a touchdown, that's 40 of 50, but that doesn't tell you if you're scoring touchdowns or if you're kicking field goals. But I know, and I know there's a big difference between kicking field goals and scoring touchdowns. And against the Texans, we scored touchdowns. I believe our first drive was the only field goal we had. After that, we scored 4 straight touchdowns. I believe that's what it was. Um, and I think 3 of those 4 touchdowns were obviously from the offense, and then 1 was from the defense. No, don't quote me on that being exactly how it was, but the Raiders, in my opinion, really showed up yesterday. 10 points is what we gave up in the first half, and I believe it was 10 points in the second. Right? I don't think Texans scored more than that, which that's pretty good in my opinion,
Yeah.
right? From the defense to give up 10 points in each half. I think if that is what we do every single week, we should win a lot of games,
Yeah.
right? Like we have too powerful of an offense to lose if the opposing team only scores 20 points.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I would even push it even a little bit further and say if we even give up 24 points, I expect us to win that game,
Yeah.
especially if the offense has the ball at the end of the game. They have a chance to go down and score. I would expect us to win that game every single time.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're able to, what I mean, have a victory week, we could say, going up against the Saints here in the new future this weekend.
Yep.
I'm glad we're able to turn that corner because I feel like we've seen a lot more efficiency. Nothing was crazy forced. We didn't have to force the ball in any situations like, say, against the Chiefs. It was a great play by Derek Carr, stepping up, throwing it deep to Devontae Adams, double coverage.
Yep.
But I felt like this game, we didn't have to stress so much to do those kind of things. Although he did make a real nice play to Matt Collins, and I think that was just a good play.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like we didn't need that to win because we were able to be very balanced. Josh Jacobs was able to run efficiently like he did the week before. And the fact that the defense was able to make some stops in the fourth quarter, hold them to 0 points, also get a defensive touchdown, just adds to it. And the fact that you say 20 points, I agree 100%. This offense is too explosive to
Yep.
allow teams to put up 24 points against us and not win that game, especially when you had the ball last. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that were able to get that win. And Derek Carr, I felt like he's playing well. I feel like he's
Yeah.
playing well, and I feel like the pressure, or not so much pressure, I wouldn't want to use that word, but I feel like the focus isn't so much on Derek Carr has to get this done. Derek Carr needs to do this because he's getting help from other people like Jacobs in the run game, and when you're able to do that, you notice like the play action. I felt like was a little bit more creative. It was a little bit more open with it, and
Yeah.
we're able to do more things because before on the film, it seemed like we do a heavy play action pass, right? Like a power play action pass, and we'd only have two guys out there. We'd
Yeah.
literally have maybe one receiver in some plays where it'd be one guy running out there and everybody's max protection.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't really have many options when you do that. And if someone gets beat on a block, then you're kind of stuck. But this time I feel like there was a little bit more to it because the run was going, the play action pass, and Carr was able to be a little bit more mobile. How do you feel about Josh McDaniels coaching this week and just able to be balanced now? Because the difference, like for instance, in Arizona, we haven't talked all season. So like Arizona game, we could have easily won if we just ran the ball. Like it's that simple, right? Just run the football.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to see that balance.
I totally agree with you, man. You said something. You said Derek Carr is being a little bit more mobile. One of the things I liked about this game was Derek Carr was rolling out, right? He was play action, getting out there on those bootlegs, and Josh McDaniels had him moving out of the pocket, and I felt like that was a big difference in this game than what I've seen in the past. I think Josh McDaniels did a great job calling this game. We have a couple of runs that work, and McDaniels is sticking with it. He's sticking with those run plays, and that's what I want to see, right? Whatever works, let's continuously do those plays. Those crack tosses to the left or to the right, those runs where you get the fullback in a one-on-one situation with the linebacker, right? Where you ISO that linebacker. Those plays hit for the Raiders, and whatever's working, let's just keep doing it. One thing that does worry me is there's going to be a time when teams stack the box and they're going to say, let's shut down Josh Jacobs. And that's when Derek Carr is going to have to go back to those deep throws, as you mentioned, right? Against the Chiefs, he had those deep passes to Devontae Adams. When teams start stacking the box and start playing that one safety deep, we're going to have to start throwing it deep. And Derek Carr is going to have to continue to connect. That Matt Collins throw was an absolute beautiful throw by Derek Carr. He read it was a cover 2 look. The safety to the left of Derek Carr, Derek Carr's looking at the safeties. The safety to the left went out because Foster Moreau ran like an out route, right? Like a deep out. And Matt Collins was running right down the middle of the field, and he just hit him right in stride. And he put it up high, too, where only Matt Collins could catch it. So shout out to Derek Carr, man. He's been playing so much better the past couple of games. He's been more mobile. Josh McDaniels done a good job. But the offensive line's been getting it done, too, right? So big shout out to the offensive line.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the offensive line because that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, especially since we got you on. What do you think? Because my thing coming out of the bye week was I don't want penalties from the damn offensive line. That was my biggest thing. Like I was tired of getting behind the sticks. We'd go out there, we'd be in position to find, like, okay, in the games you'd see, we'd be in position to where we should be able to take the lead, but then all of a sudden it's a false start.
Yeah.
Or it's a holding call. And not to name drop, but Jermaine Illuminor, I feel like he was just being the penalty machine. Like that's just what I was thinking. Like this dude is getting penalties way too often. But you watch this game, I don't think the offensive line got a penalty at all. I think it was just the fullback, if I'm not mistaken, that got a false start.
Yep, the fullback had a false start, and
then someone held. Adams
had a block in the back early in the game.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the 2 penalties. I don't think we had any other penalties on the offense. You mentioned Jermaine Illuminor. Illuminor has had a lot of penalties, and it hasn't been him only, right? Between Munford and Illuminor, we have like 12 penalties between that. Whoever's playing that right tackle position. Okay. That's just too many penalties, man. You got to shore up the tackle position at some point. I think the offensive line played well this week specifically, but
I would also say in general. I would say in general, I think they played decent.
Absolutely. Over the last couple games, they've been playing really well. But this week specifically, and I know Munford played most of the game. Jermaine Illuminor has like an elbow injury or something. I went back and looked at the Raiders injury report. Apparently, he was listed on like the last injury report. He had like an elbow injury, and he had a brace on. I don't know if you saw it. And then he had, I don't know if it's a hand injury or what, but he also had a cast on his right hand He only played like 14 snaps. After that, he didn't play. Munford
Okay.
pretty much finished the game. And I know some people want Munford to start at this point, right? They're saying let's let the rookie start. The thing that worries me is, and here's one thing I got to mention because I saw you quoted it or you re-quoted it on Twitter, is PFF grades.
Yeah.
People are taking the fact that Munford was ranked super high in his PFF grade, and they're running with that on social media. I don't believe in PFF grades because Munford did not officially have any pressures, quarterback hits, and I've watched the tape. He gave up at least one pressure and at least one quarterback hit that I already saw just isolating him alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my point is we played against the Texans, right? I can't name anyone off the Texans defensive line. I mean, I don't know if you can, but like I don't know any of these guys, right? And if Munford starts, how's he going to look against Cameron Jordan, who's about to come in, right? One of the best defensive ends in the NFL. Maybe it's Marcus Davenport or Peyton Turner that rotated, right? How is Munford going to do against those guys, right? I don't know if you've been able to watch any of the tape or what your thoughts are on that.
It's tough to say because I know a lot of people, like you said, they like their Mumford now because of what they just seen. But give it a week, and you know what I mean. If he makes a mistake, then they'll flip right back to the other side, and that's pretty much how it works.
Yep.
He's a young guy, and really, what I would ask you at the end of the day is, can you see him getting these reps and being a long-term solution, though?
Here's the thing that I'll say with that, right? I always give offensive linemen benefit of the doubt all the time because development is a real thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say yes, I could see him being a long-term solution, but the one thing that holds me back on that is when an offensive tackle specifically is bigger, they're generally slower, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is exactly what I see with Mumford. Because he's bigger, he is slower, right? And in my opinion, when I watch tackles and I need tackles to develop, usually I'll give more leeway. And it's not even just tackles, right? Guard,
Yeah.
centers, whatever. Guys that are that are quicker and faster generally get better because you can always get stronger. But when you're big, you don't generally get faster, right? Getting faster is harder than
Mm-hmm.
getting stronger, right? And I
Yeah.
hope that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So with Munford, his flaw, in my opinion, right now is he's slow, right? And I don't know if that's going to get better, right? Getting faster, getting quicker. I don't know if that's going to happen. And I'll give you two examples of plays that I saw on tape. I'm going to actually do an offense line breakdown, so these will be in there whenever I do that. But one play was a zone run to the left, right? Munford had a guy lined up on the inside shoulder in the 4-eye technique. All he had to do was just get to the inside of that guy. Super simple reach. Any good tackle will reach. That's super simple, right? Some guys reach even further. Guys reach to guys that are over the guards and sometimes even to the inside of guards. Well, Munford had a guy to the inside. He wasn't even able to reach to that guy to get to the inside. And because he's not able to do those simple things, it makes me think like, will he be able to improve that? I'm going to say he can't, right? Most people, rather it's like he learns blocking angles or whatever it is. But then there was another play. He was pass setting. He took a 45-degree set when he was getting out. So he kind of went like 45 degrees backwards. And a guy jumped the inside, right? And he was too slow. He wasn't able to stop that. And that was the play that Derek Carr ended up putting the ball away. I don't know which play it was exactly, but it was like a 2nd and 7, I think, right? Derek Carr ended up rolling out to his right because Munford's guys jumped the inside gap. And then he ended up throwing it away, right? And I know those are just two isolated plays. He had a lot of good reps, but another thing the Raiders have been doing a lot is they play action, right? And they'll get Derek Carr out of the pocket. And on play actions, offensive linemen's blocks don't really matter, right? Because they're going to kind of go towards the guy a little bit. Quarterback's running out. So the Raiders were doing these type of things that, in my opinion, benefited Thayer Munford, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If Munford gets put into a true pass situation, true one-on-one pass situation 25 times in a game, how many of those is he going to win? How many of those is he going to lose, right? And for me, that's kind of what worries me with him.
No, I definitely understand the angle that you're going with, especially the way the game developed, right? When you're able to run heavy, it helps the offensive line because they're not sitting with the defensive end pinning their ears back at the quarterback every single time. Now, when it's time to pass the ball, you kind of have that step on the D end because the DN don't know if you're going to pass it, if it's actually a play action, because they're so anticipated on the run that's been pounding at them consistently. So it helps the offensive lineman in the passing. So I definitely understand it. And I think it's a good formula, though, right? At the same time, it's a good formula. And maybe if we continue to run the ball well, then we could keep him there, especially thinking about it. And you say how Jermaine Illuminor has this thing on his elbow, on his hand, he has a cast now. Are we looking at Thayer Munford as the starter moving forward? And I think it must be. It must be. So we got to have that confidence. And hopefully the coaching staff sees that and knows, being balanced helps the offensive line, of course. And we continue moving in that direction. Now, we talked about the offense. We talked about the offensive line. We talked about Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs a little bit. We know what Josh Jacobs is doing. He's acting a damn fool. Devontae Adams, though. Let's talk about him a little bit because, he had a little incident just a couple weeks ago. We're not going to get too much into that. But his production is still there. I mean, he comes over from Green Bay. He's still being productive at the end of the day. I don't know where he ranks amongst yards. I don't know where he ranks amongst receptions or anything. But consistently, 8 receptions, I think, in this last game and 90 yards or something like that, maybe. That's pretty productive when you consistently do it. And in the previous games, I think he's gotten a touchdown and pretty much in most of the games he's gotten a touchdown. I think that kind of shows a little bit of how Derek Carr doesn't make his receivers worse, and he's competent. Because you look at the Green Bay Packers, and I know I'm going on a little tangent here, but they're I don't know what's going on with Green Bay, right? And what happened to Green Bay? All they did was really lose Devontae Adams. That's pretty much it. Unless you know that they missed. I mean, they got Jair Alexander back, which is a prime corner, and they didn't have him last year. So their defense got better. They used those picks on the defense as well, but it seems like they're struggling without him. So to me, I just wanted to throw that in there just to throw a shot at some people that wanted to talk bad about Carr and how Devontae Adams coming here, you know what I mean? He's going to lose production. And I don't think that's the case, you know what I mean? So shout out to the O-line. Shout out to Derek Carr on the offense, man. Let's keep the ball rolling, though, man. Let's talk about the defense a little bit because the defense is bad. Let's be honest. The defense isn't that good, in my opinion. It's not that good. But I think it's competent enough, and they're not getting enough credit because I've talked about it a dozen times. The investments went to the offense. It went straight into the offense. Picks 1 through 4 in the draft went to the offense. And then so much money as well. And people will bring up Chandler Jones like, oh, well, we brought in Chandler Jones and we're last in sacks. I don't know. I don't remember anybody talking about bringing Chandler Jones in besides this regime. You know what I mean? And I probably wouldn't invest that much into Chandler Jones. I wasn't a big fan of it. But at the same time, I don't think him not getting sacks has been detrimental to the defense not being successful. I feel like it's been more of – it's kind of hard to put my finger on it, but they're just not that good. We don't have a lot of pieces out there. We didn't get a Devontae Adams on the defense, pretty much is what I'm saying, right? And so that's why I think that's where we're missing. We're missing those key playmakers, like Daron Harmon, for instance. I never expected Daron Harmon to be a playmaker, and I'm glad he is. But this is kind of what I've been wanting out of Trayvon Merrick, jumping routes and getting interceptions kind of stuff. And I hope they make that turn. But what do you think about the defense, man, and just everything in general of us not investing into it? We still don't really have a defensive tackle for the long term, bro. Let's be honest. Like, I know we drafted Matthew Butler and Neil Farrell Jr. We've yet to really see anything from them, you know. One or the other is always on the injury report. So what do you think about the defense so far?
You make a great point, first and foremost, right? The investment part of it, people write that off, right? And I shouldn't say people because I know a lot of Raider fans do understand that concept, right? I think the people that write it off are the Twitter gotcha guys, right? We got you, first ranked offense, worst ranked defense, and then that's it. That's all they say, right? You and I are a little bit more logical, right? We know that the defense did not get the cap investment, right? Had Ziegler and McDaniels came in here and said, hey, we're actually going to let Renfro and Waller walk after this year. We're not going to bring in Adams. We're going to draft a rookie receiver. We'll let that guy develop. And maybe we'll re-sign Josh and be a run first team, but we're going to put the investments on the defensive side. We'll go ahead and draft the defensive guy, maybe, right? With the second round pick or whatever. We're going to go out and get whoever it is. Maybe it's Quinnen Williams, the defensive tackle, right? Maybe he's on the trade block. Maybe it's DeForest Buckner. Maybe the Colts are ready to move on from him or whatever, right? Maybe it's a linebacker or a safety like Jesse Bates. But let's say we go heavy on the defense, and let's say we rank as a top 10 defense in just the simple points per game statistic. But then let's say our offense falls off, and let's say our offense is now like one of the worst 10 offenses or so, right? People who are now saying, oh, the defense isn't doing their job, would they be saying the same thing then at that point, that the offense isn't doing their job? Or would they say, well, the offense, you didn't really invest in it, right? You got Derek Carr, a rookie wide receiver, right? And I say that because I look at teams like the Ravens, right? The Ravens had Marquise Brown, who I think is a good wide receiver. They picked him in the first round. They got rid of him when his rookie contract was coming up, and they drafted another guy in the first round. And all they really do in terms of investment is they paid their tight end. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
They rotate their tackles. They rotate their running backs. They rotate their receivers. I mean, think about it. The Ravens literally took two guys the Raiders did not need. And Kenyon Drake and Demarcus Robinson, they started those guys, right? And they're still having success because their investments are on the defense, their corners, their defensive ends, their linebackers, right? My point is this, right? You're right. The defense has not gotten it done, but the defense has also gotten one of the highest paid offenses in the NFL. The biggest difference in the NFL between the offense and defensive investments is by the Raiders, right? Over $50 million is what separates the two. Our defense has done just enough where they've gotten our offense the ball in every single loss, right? All four of our losses, the offense has had the ball with the opportunity to go and score or tie the football game.
Yeah.
If you expect more out of the defense, then you're expecting too much out of the defense, right? And I know the whole points per game statistic technically does not help the Raiders defense, but I don't think the defense has been as bad as people are saying. And don't get me wrong, they're a bad unit. They are not good. They're not a top 10 unit. But in terms of making just enough plays, the Giants defense has made just enough plays to let the Giants offense get the ball. Yeah. 5 of the Giants wins this year, I think they're 6-1. 5 of the Giants wins have been comeback wins, or whatever you want to call it. The offense was able to go downfield and score a touchdown and win the game, right?
Yep.
The Raiders have had the same situation. They've been in the same spot as the Giants. And I'm not saying that Derek Carr sucks or whoever sucks, whatever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying sometimes the ball bounces your way, sometimes it doesn't. Right? In 2016, the ball bounced our way. This year so far, the ball has not bounced our way, right? But we did close the game out against the Texans this week. What do you think about that?
I agree, 100% agree. And there's not many people that would come on here and say exactly what I would probably say, and that's what you're doing. Because it's hard because a lot of people will push back on it, and one thing is just weird to me because like I've used this analogy a million times. Like the offense is the Lambo, the defense is just a Dodge Charger. Yep. And you have these expectations of the Dodge Charger to keep up with the Lambo, and it's like it doesn't make sense. We didn't pay as much. We didn't put anything into the Dodge Charger. We didn't go get a Hellcat. We got a damn Hemi. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you can't hold the expectations as high. Now, for me, I give slack or some credit or whatever you want to call it, leeway for the defense because, like you have said, let's just use the Arizona game for a terrible example from the offense. The defense, yes, they did allow the Cardinals to come back in. Yeah. But it's kind of sad the fact that the offense could only get 3 points, not only in one half, but in one half and overtime.
Yeah, exactly.
And technically they scored negative points because the Arizona's defense got a touchdown.
Exactly.
So at that point, you got -4 points.
Yeah.
And when your defense stops the Cardinals, gets you the ball in overtime, it's overtime. All you need is a field goal.
Yeah.
The defense makes a stop. All we need is a field goal to win the game. Yep. I would expect this offense to win that, right?
Yep.
I wouldn't expect the defense to make a stop. Yep. I would expect the offense to score points.
Yep.
But when the defense goes out there and makes a stop on with the game on the line, I think this is where we kind of like agree, and this is where our conversation is pretty much going, is that when it's timely, the defense is there. The defense makes a stop. And they've done it in every single game in the fourth quarter. And this Texans game, for me, it wasn't that much different from the defense perspective. It really wasn't. They gave up points. They gave up 20 points, right? Okay. But in the fourth quarter, how much did they give up? 0.
Yep.
They gave up 0 points in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And the difference for me was the fact that the offense scored points in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Right?
Touchdowns too.
That's pretty much, the defense did too, right?
Exactly.
But the fact that the offense finished the game, scored on their final drives, that was the biggest difference for me. Because even if the defense didn't get a defensive touchdown, just make the stops, we still win the game, right?
Exactly.
Same thing against the Broncos. They didn't even have to score a defensive touchdown, and we still win the game.
Yeah.
And then you go on to every single game we played. Like I said, the Cardinals and even the Chiefs. The defense stops the Chiefs' offense, and we're down by 1 point.
Yep.
Now, you could even say we went for 2, and the offense failed to get the 2. The offense failed to tie the game and get 30 points to tie it. So now it's on the defense to get the ball back. And they do. With the game on the line to get the offense the ball back, and we have the ball 4th and 3 and 1. 4th and 1. And we fail. And at that point, that's when I say it's not the defense's fault. I'm sorry. I know they may do whatever they do from quarters 1 through 3. They're going to give up points. And it's almost as if people expect the defense to hold the other team to less points than what the offense can score.
Yep.
But I feel like the offense should score more points than what the defense allows, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Because, like we said, the investments in the offense, and this is our backbone, the offense. That's our backbone. That's our core. That's that's who we look to when we're getting beat up. Like, yo, help me out, please. We look at the offense, right? So I think that's just kind of where we're going with it. And we don't have that high expectation of the defense, but we do have an expectation there to obviously not give up 40. Because even you think about last year, we gave up a combined 90 points to the Chiefs. A combined 90 points to the Chiefs. Our defense looked like the Niners did against the Chiefs yesterday.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So when you hold them to 30 this time and you're still in the game, I don't know. It's hard to kind of blame the defense. But at the same time, man, it is what it is. I think going forward, we're going to definitely see some good football, man. We're going to see some good football. Yep. This Texans game may just be what we needed to kind of get the ball rolling. And it may just have been that bye week. It may have just been that bye week just for the guys to settle down, for them to pick up the offense a little bit more, have that time to be in the playbook instead of having to go out and perform under pressure. Now we get that extra time to learn. And that's what I think that ultimately helped us. And then we go in against the Texans, and it kind of eases our way in. The Texans you can't sleep on, but at the same time, they're not the Chiefs. So it kind of helps us ease into it, right? So definitely glad that we got the win. We're 2-4 though, man. We're 2-4. Now, us being 2-4, where do you see us going moving forward? Because my prediction, and I've stuck with it, man, and people hated me for this, that I thought we'd only win 9 games. People were right, you're tripping. 9 games only? We're going to win 11, 12, 13, 14 games. I'm like, oh, man. I've been a Raider fan long enough to know that they need to prove it first, right? They need to prove it first. So what do you think moving forward that the Raiders are going to be looking like? Do you think this is a turning for us to get on the roll, or you still think there may be some hiccups here and there and it may trickle in here and there?
Well, here's the thing, right? The Texans are going to have the number 1 overall pick this year, right? They're going to be the worst. They already are the worst team, right? Here's the thing, right? For the first 3 quarters, this game was neck and neck. It was super close, and it should not be that way, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not making an excuse, right? There's no excuse to be made. The defense sucks, right? Mm-hmm. I get it. It made plays when it mattered, but it still sucks. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this offense is going to be able to continue to do what they did against the Texans, where they, instead of kicking field goals, they scored touchdowns. Because I think the Texans' game plan was a little flawed, right? I think they made a mistake by using the light box. I think
too high safeties. I was surprised they stuck with 2 high safeties for that long.
Exactly, and that too, like over the last 3 weeks, I think if there's anything that these 3 games has taught us about the Raiders' offense is if the Raiders can run the football, they're going to have success on the offensive side, right?
Mhm.
So if you stop the run, will they continue to have success? And I think over the first 3 weeks, our offense kind of sucked, and I think part of that was because teams were stopping the run,
Mhm.
right? At least in a lot of plays, like we would be in second and long situations or third and long situations.
Mhm.
I always overcomplicate the shit out of everything, but I do want to say this about that, right? I don't think the Raiders are going to have a lot of success this year. And me, me wishful thinking. I say we go on a run right now. We win the next 10 games, and we get into the playoffs. But something tells me that this Raiders team may not be ready, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be the offense. Although I will say I think the offense is going to underperform a lot, right? Because if minus the Chiefs game, you can make the argument that we underperformed in every game prior to that, right? Because
Mhm.
this Raiders team we should be the number one or number two team in terms of like being able to put up points. Right? We
Yeah.
should be putting up. We just put up 30 points for the first time in Week 7 of the
Mhm.
NFL season. That should not happen. We should have put up. And are we going to score 40 points this year at all? Right? Because the Chiefs just put 40 points up against the number 2 or number 3 defense in the league, right?
Yep.
Against the Niners. Wishful thinking, I say the Raiders go on a run, but are we going to beat the Saints? Because I think the Saints are a really good
Yeah.
overall football team. I think Jacksonville's a really good overall football team. The Chargers are a good team. The Chiefs are a good team. I think we have a lot of really tough games. The Niners are a really good team.
Mhm.
How many of those games are we actually going to win? Right? Again, wishful thinking. I say we go on a run and we beat all these teams, but all of those teams could theoretically also beat the Raiders. They're just as good as us, if
Mhm.
not better. Um, I will say this: I don't think our coaching is an issue, right? I know fire Josh McDaniels was trending over the past couple of weeks on social media. I don't think Josh McDaniels is an issue. I don't think the offensive line's an issue. Uh, I think the defense is an issue, right? And I understand the whole investments part of it, and I will personally use that excuse all day until it gets fixed, until they put the investments in, and it continues to suck after that, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's just hard to say that we're gonna win 10 plus games this year. I already have
Yeah.
4 losses,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. What do you think? You think we're gonna win 10 plus games?
No, I mean, like I said, my prediction was 9-8 wild card spot, and people said, "Oh, you're crazy. There's no way we made the playoffs with 9 wins."
Yeah.
I could definitely see people saying that. I could see why people say that. Like 9 wins, getting in the playoffs, how? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just think that because it's going to be such a grind, it's going to be such a grind, and when you get to those last games, those last 4 games of the season, everything's different.
Yeah.
The first half of the season is nothing like the second half of the season. It's completely different. I
Yeah.
mean, you could just talk about last year in its own, and
Exactly.
that for an example. But that kind of is an anomaly as well because I mean, how does everything that happened was just crazy. So it's kind
Yeah.
of an anomaly. But in general, football is a crazy sport, and things
Yeah.
change so quick. I mean, think about the Bucks just lost to the damn Panthers, and the Panthers were basically dismantling everything. They lost their
And they're
quarterback. They lost CMC, and they
they're
go get the Bucks.
tanking. They're tanking. The Panthers are tanking.
Yeah,
All right.
but they win with PJ Walker outscoring Tom Brady. So it's,
Yeah.
I think it's PJ Walker, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of things could change. And for me, for instance, say the Chargers, our division is a tough division already.
Yeah.
And when the Chargers have a loss like they did yesterday to the Seahawks, that stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos, look at the Broncos. I don't even know what's going on with the Broncos, bro.
Yeah.
Who is their starting quarterback now? It's
Yeah. Ripon or whatever that
I
guy's
have
name
no
is.
idea. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
even really know. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ripien or something like that. So
Yeah.
you think about the division, and
Yeah.
now when we're at this point, but at the head of the season, people were thinking, "Oh no, the Broncos got Russell Wilson. He's going to be doing this, so the Broncos will be Super Bowl contenders." Will the Chiefs still be the same? Oh,
Yeah.
the Chargers have Justin Herbert, and they stacking on defense. But look at them; they're what 500 at this point.
Yeah.
I believe they're 500, something like that. The Broncos are just they're doing their thing. So with all that being said, I could see us going on runs, 3 game
Yeah.
winning streak. We might drop one, win a couple, drop another one,
Yeah.
and it just trickles in like that. And when it comes to crunch time, I see us again winning those games.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the division, if we win those division games, we drop the one to the Chargers, but we win the next one. We're going to sweep the Broncos.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
we better, right? And if we split with the Chiefs, because I feel like this team is a team that can beat the Chiefs. If we were able to do it this early in the season and stick close to them and I felt like Mahomes was frustrated. I
Yeah.
feel like the Chiefs were frustrated. Like, why are we down? Why is it even this close?
Yeah.
Like Mahomes is talking trash going to the sidelines. Usually he's more confident than that. Usually he doesn't need to do any of that in church. But this is different. And that's why I think we would still be able to make that playoff spot with the 9-8. That's just my opinion at the end of the day. But 2-4, man, 2-4. I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. 3-game winning streak, though. That's all I'm looking for in this one. Because what it'll do is put us at 500. And that's 2 more games. So what is that? The Saints and the Jags?
Yep.
Saints and the Jags. That'll put us at 500. 4-4. We're halfway through the season. At that point, you can't ask for much more when you start off, 1-4. You can't ask for much more, right? You kind of have a clean slate at that point. So I would definitely love to see us make that 500 point and then continue to work from there, man. One last thing I do want to talk about, though. We didn't really talk about the special teams. And I know it's little, I know it's subtle, but I think our special team sucks. Like, I honestly think our special team sucks. And it's being clouded by the fact we have good kickers. Like, if we didn't have good kickers, like Daniel Carlson, Edgy Cole, they're good kickers. But you watch our return game, you watch how they block. It's just like, what are we doing? And then also defending in special teams is decent, but I just feel like we could definitely ramp up in the return game. And DJ Turner even muffs a punt out there this past game, which was kind of a little scary, but he could warm up to it. I do like DJ Turner. I'm not knocking him for that too much. He just came back off IR, whatever the case may be. But I would love to see our special team step it up. Especially in the run, in the return game. And the dude we picked up as our special team coach, it's McMahon, right?
Yep.
Doesn't he have a history of being a shitty special teams coach?
He does.
Does he not?
He does. He absolutely does.
He does. So I just don't want that to bite us, you know what I mean? In the rear, having such a terrible special teams and it go under the radar. I just have to throw that out there because we talked about the offense, talked about the defense. You have the third phase of the game, all 3 phases, the special teams. I definitely want us to step up in that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you say that because I don't remember how often, like, when was the last time we had a kick return for our touchdown or a punt return for our touchdown? Or when was the last time we blocked something?
Yeah, Dwayne Harris. Is that his name?
Yeah, Dwayne Harris. I think that's what it was. Yeah, it was like the 99-yard run against. That's the last one I remember.
Yeah.
But how many times have we blocked on a punt? Like, a team's punting the football. Mm-hmm. How many times have we blocked and run it back for a touchdown? Like, the only thing I remember is Malcolm Kuntz pulling the guy, and that ultimately lost us the game against the Chiefs, right?
Oh my, I forgot all about that. That's a special teams play right there. What the hell? Yeah. Like, now was that something coached? Was he told to do that? And I feel like he kind of didn't do anything. Honestly, I don't know what he did. I don't know what the call was about. I don't think I've ever really seen that call.
There were someone posted, I think, the 4 or 5 times when we went to block their field goals. I think 3 of the 5 times, or 4 of the 5 times, actually, it was all besides one. Malcolm Kuntz pulled his guy. Like, he would make contact and he was trying to hold him so that someone could, like, potentially jump that gap right there and block it. Mm-hmm. The first 3 of the 4 times he did that, they did not call the penalty. They called it on the 4th one, right? Or it was something like that. Maybe it was 3 times.
They called it on the one that mattered the most.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly when they called it.
And it's funny because that game when Derek Carr had got the roughing the passer, I put out a tweet. I said, bro, they're going to get us back for that. They're going to get us back for that. And what
absolutely. Do? Absolutely. They do that, right? They make a mistake here. They'll come back with another one, right? And they'll get the team right back.
Yeah, most definitely, man. But, hey, that's all 3 phases of the game, bro. Very good talk. Very good talk. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Any last words for the people? Just to say what's up to them or where to follow you at, everything.
Yeah. Well, my name's right there. You guys can see it on the screen right here somewhere, over here somewhere. But you guys can search me. Make sure you guys follow me. I do want to say this. I do think the Raiders need to continue to get better, right? The defense has not played good enough. There's no excuses for it, right? You can use the excuse of the whole investments, and that is a valid excuse. But at the end of the day, there's still 11 professional football players that start, right? they got to do their job and they got to step up and get it done. But even the same thing for the offense, right? Derek Carr having a good game this week, which he did. He had a really good game, isn't going to be the excuse if he messes up next week. He has to continue to be consistent. He has to continue to do this, right?
Yeah.
Same with Josh Jacobs and the O-line, right? The O-line cannot take a step back. I do want to state this also about Thayer Munford. Maybe I was a little bit too critical when I was talking, because he did have a lot of good reps as well, right? I think this team is a solid team, and I do think going forward we're going to see a much better product on the football field, right? I think the Raiders are a good team. 2-4, as you say, we won the next 2 or 4-4, and it's a clean slate from there, right? Taking 1 week at a time, I think there's going to be a lot of success here in the Raiders' future.
Yes, most definitely, man. Appreciate you pulling up. One thing I did want to talk about on the defense that I did forget was, do you think Merrick is playing hurt? Do you know?
I have not heard anything about if he's hurt. Okay. I know some people mention how Merrick got worse this year and Devon Diablo got worse and Denzel Perryman's gotten worse, and maybe that's like the defensive coach. And that is a true thing. It could be that's the defensive coach, but it could also be maybe some people were too high on these guys, right? Some people thought Merrick's going to just become this superstar player, right? Or maybe Denzel Perryman's this superstar player. Devon Diablo maybe this. And that's not what they are, right? They're good football players, right? Trayvon Merrick made a couple of good plays against the Chiefs. I think people kind of overlook those. I don't think any of these guys are necessarily hurt. I just think that maybe our expectations were a little high on them, right?
Yeah.
I think the realization has hit.
Yeah, I understand that. It's kind of having high expectations for the defense when you shouldn't. But the only reason I say that is because that play, and someone had mentioned it, and I was like, okay, it does make sense. It makes sense. Yeah. He's coming off of a hip injury or something like that. He missed a couple of games. Yeah. And when he was trying to jump a route, or I don't know what he was trying to do, when Davis Mills threw it to the tight end, Panky or something like that, or Hank, whatever the tight end's name, it looked like he tried to jump it, but then when he jumped it, he kind of just like was slow and then didn't even go after him, kind of jogged. Yeah. And I just felt like, is that a spirit thing, or is he kind of hurt out there and his hip still bothering him? And so to me, I was just like, that don't look like Merrick. Personally, I was just like, that don't look like Merrick. I feel like Merrick would jump a route, he's going to jump a route, and if he misses, he's going to be able to, at least, catch the guy, like at least the damn tight end, So that's all. That's all. I was just wondering. But appreciate you pulling up, man.
Absolutely, man.
You know who it is, bro. It's Sanjit. Make sure to go follow him. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, everything like that is good. Hey, appreciate everybody pulling up, watching this video if you made it all the way through. Don't forget to follow me as well on Instagram and Twitter. Check out Redemption Brand if y'all want to. Appreciate y'all being here. Until next time, Ready to Take.